The sand burned under the twin suns of Korath Prime, a world that the Galactic Empire had written off as worthless 300 years ago. They called it a death planet. They said nothing could survive there. They were wrong. Zarak stood on the highest dune, his weathered face covered by a mask made from the skull of a sandworm he had killed with his bare hands when he was only 15. Behind him, stretching across the endless desert, stood an army unlike anything the universe had ever seen. 1 million warriors from 47 different clans, all united under one banner for the first time in human history on this forsaken world. The Korathi Empire had dumped the first humans here as punishment. They were criminals, rebels, and political prisoners. The aliens expected them to die within weeks. Instead, humanity did what it always does. They adapted. They survived. They grew strong. 3 centuries of evolution in the harshest environment imaginable had changed them. Their skin was darker, able to absorb water from the air itself. Their eyes had developed a second membrane to protect against sandstorms. They could run for 3 days without rest. They could survive on a cup of water for a week. They had become something more than human. And now they were angry. Zarak remembered the day his father died. He was 10 years old when the Korathi patrol ships came to their village looking for entertainment. They called it sport hunting. They would land their ships, release their prisoners into the desert, and hunt them down with plasma rifles. His father had tried to fight back with nothing but a stone knife. The Korathi commander had laughed as he burned him alive. That was the day Zarak made a promise. He would unite every clan on Korath Prime. He would build an army so powerful that the Korathi would learn to fear humans the way humans had been taught to fear them. It took him 25 years, but he had kept that promise. The first clan he conquered was the Red Sand Tribe. Their chieftain was a massive man named Gorn, who had never lost a single combat. Zarak challenged him to a death duel under the watching eyes of both tribes. The fight lasted 6 hours. When it was over, Zarak stood over Gorn's body, bleeding from a dozen wounds but still breathing. The Red Sand Tribe knelt before him that night. Word spread across the desert. A young warlord was rising. He was different from the others. He did not simply want power. He wanted revenge against the stars. The Nightwalker clan came next. They were assassins who moved through the darkness, killing anyone who threatened their territory. Zarak walked into their hidden canyon alone, unarmed, and demanded to speak with their leader. They could have killed him 100 times. Instead, they listened. He spoke of a future where humans would no longer hide in the sand. He spoke of ships and plasma weapons and worlds covered in water. He spoke of freedom. Their leader, a woman named Syra with scars covering half her face, became his first general. One by one, the clans fell in line. Some he conquered through combat. Others he won through words. A few required more creative methods. The Stone Eaters, a tribe of cannibals who lived in the deep caves, only agreed to join after Zarak personally led a raid against a Korathi mining outpost and brought back the bodies of 30 aliens for them to feast upon. The Korathi never noticed what was happening. Why would they? Humans were vermin to them, primitives fighting over sand and scraps. The idea that they could ever pose a threat was laughable. That was their first mistake. Zarak's scouts had been watching the Korathi for years. They mapped every patrol route, every supply ship, every weakness. The aliens had grown lazy. Their garrison in the southern mountains was understaffed. Their weapons were old. They spent more time drinking fermented nectar than watching their sensors. Today, that laziness would cost them everything. The horns sounded across the desert, a deep rumbling note that shook the very sand. 1 million warriors began to move as one, their feet creating a vibration that could be felt for miles. They carried weapons made from alien metal stolen over generations, spears tipped with plasma cores, shields forged from ship hulls. A few lucky warriors even carried actual Karathi rifles, taken from dead patrol soldiers and carefully maintained. Syra rode beside Zarak on a sandrake, a massive reptile that could cross 100 miles of desert in a single day. She looked at her warlord with something between admiration and concern. "The southern garrison has called for reinforcements," she said. "Their fleet will arrive within 2 days." Zarak smiled beneath his mask. "Then we have 2 days to take the garrison, capture their communication tower, and send a message to every human colony in the sector. And if the fleet arrives before we're done, then we'll take their ships too." The army moved like a sandstorm, unstoppable and absolute. Scouts ranged ahead, eliminating any Karathi patrol that might give warning. By the time the sun set on the first day, they had covered 50 miles and left no survivors behind them. That night, Zarak gathered his chieftains around a fire made from alien bones. He looked at their faces, scarred and hardened by a lifetime of suffering. These were men and women who had lost everything to the Karathi. Parents, children, entire villages burned for sport. "Tomorrow," Zarak said, "we begin a war that will last for generations. Our grandchildren will fight in it. Their grandchildren will fight in it. But one day, a human will stand on the Karathi homeworld, and they will make the emperor kneel. I may not live to see that day. You may not live to see that day. But it will come, because we are human. And we do not die easily." The chieftains roared their approval. The sound echoed across the empty desert like a promise. The attack on the garrison began at dawn. The Karathi had finally noticed something was wrong when their patrols stopped reporting in. They activated their shields and manned their walls, confident that their superior technology would protect them. They were wrong. Zarak had spent years studying Karathi shield technology. He knew their weakness. The shields could stop plasma fire and projectiles, but they could not stop sand. His warriors had filled hollow tubes with explosive powder and buried them beneath the garrison walls weeks ago. At his signal, fire runners sprinted across the killing ground, igniting the fuses as plasma bolts screamed past them. The explosions threw Karathi soldiers into the air like toys. Sections of the wall crumbled, and through the gaps poured a wave of screaming humans, their eyes filled with 300 years of rage. The battle was brutal and short. The Karathi were better armed, but the humans outnumbered them 50 to 1. More importantly, the humans were not afraid to die. They threw themselves at plasma rifles with nothing but knives and rocks, buying time for others to reach the enemy lines. Zarak himself led the charge into the command center. A Karathi captain tried to stop him with a plasma blade. Zarak caught the blade with his bare hand, letting it burn through flesh and bone, and used his other hand to drive a sandworm tooth through the captain's skull. By noon, the garrison had fallen. 6,000 Karathi soldiers lay dead. The human losses were higher, nearly 40,000, but Zarak had expected this. He had brought enough warriors to absorb the casualties and still have an army capable of defending their prize. The communication tower was intact, just as he had planned. Syra found him standing before the holographic display, watching the signals bounce between 100 different worlds. She handed him a captured Karathi uniform, the commander's insignia still attached. "The message is ready," she said. "Are you sure about this?" Zarak removed his mask for the first time in years. His face was young, far younger than anyone expected. But his eyes were old. They had seen too much death and pain for one lifetime. "The Karathi think humans are animals," he said. "Today, they learned that animals can bite." He activated the transmission. His face appeared on every screen in the sector. Every human slave on every mining colony and pleasure world saw him. Every Karathi noble and merchant and soldier saw him. "My name is Zarak of Korath Prime. For 300 years, you have hunted us. You have killed us. You have treated us like animals meant for sport. Today, I speak for all humans when I say this. We are coming. Not in a year. Not in a decade. We are coming now. We have taken your garrison. We have killed your soldiers. And we will not stop until every human in this sector is free." He paused, letting the words sink in. To the humans watching this message, know that you are not alone. Fight back. Resist. Kill your masters if you can. Die fighting if you must, but do not submit, because we are human, and we do not break. He ended the transmission and looked at Syra. "How long until the fleet arrives?" 18 hours. Then we have 18 hours to turn this garrison into a fortress. Get the engineers working on the shield generators. I want every weapon we captured pointed at the sky. And send word to the tribes in the eastern mountains. Tell them the war has begun. The message spread across the stars like wildfire. On a dozen worlds, human slaves rose up against their masters. Some were crushed. Others succeeded, even if only briefly. But everywhere, the name Zarak became a symbol of resistance. The Korathi fleet arrived expecting an easy victory. They found a garrison defended by warriors who had nothing to lose and everything to prove. The first assault was repelled with heavy losses. The second fared no better. By the third day, Korathi command was forced to retreat and call for additional forces. That delay cost them everything. While the fleet was focused on Korath Prime, human uprisings on 3 other worlds captured vital supply depots. The Korathi suddenly found themselves fighting a war on multiple fronts, something they had never experienced before. Their logistics fell apart. Their morale collapsed. Zarak watched from the garrison walls as the Korathi ships retreated into the darkness between stars. He knew they would return with more forces. He knew the war was far from over. But he had accomplished something that the Korathi thought impossible. He had made them afraid. Standing beside him, Syra looked up at the stars that had imprisoned humanity for so long. Tomorrow, they would begin planning the next campaign. Tomorrow, they would train new warriors and forge new weapons. Tomorrow, the war would continue. But tonight, for the first time in 300 years, humans looked at the sky not with fear, but with hunger. The universe was vast and full of enemies, but it was also full of opportunity. And humanity was just getting started.